It's been over a year since I went to a movie theater. Going to the movies has always been one of my favorite pastimes, and missing out on it for as long as I have has been challenging, to say the least. So when AAXA asked me to review their portable 4K One projector, I had to say yes. The 4K One is their native 4K portable projector, making it the smallest 4K projector in the world. But can this tiny projector really deliver a quality experience while being easy to use? The build quality of the 4K One is very nice. It's entirely made of plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap by any means. Pretty much every projector is made of plastic to help deal with heat from the lamp, but quality of that plastic can vary. I also love this dark blue accent line around the top of the projector. It makes the 4K One distinctive without being distracting. On the top, you have a touchpad for basic navigation, volume, and keystone control. AAXA also includes a remote for handling all of that. It's the cheapest feeling thing about the setup. I use the touchpad more than the remote. It's responsive enough, and once you get properly set up, you won't be using it a lot anyway. As for settings and control, there are some, but it isn't exactly robust. There are options for adjusting the color, gamma, and picture settings, complete with pre-made profiles. All of that is great, but where the 4K One underdelivers is with keystoning. Users can adjust the vertical keystone, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal, but it means you're going to have to spend more time finessing and getting the horizontal position of the projector just right. I wish there were some more features to streamline setting up the 4K One. If it's a portable projector, I would like it to be a sort of plug-and-play device. No streaming apps or smart TV features is a bummer. And for $1,000, that's also a lot to ask for a projector that doesn't have a more modern UI. Something like Android TV would elevate the experience significantly. As I said earlier, using my iPad as a primary device on the AAXA 4K One was a process to set up. Since it doesn't support AirPlay, Chromecast, or any screen mirroring, you're left with wired connections to get anything up on the screen, unless you have a thumb drive with perfectly legal movies on it. However, once you get everything hooked up, the 4K One truly is a sight to behold. Watching movies on it is simply amazing, and it really feels like having a home cinema. I didn't have a proper wall to get the full 200 inches the 4K One can cast, but the image I could get was more than enough for my setup. I never found myself wanting to switch from the standard brightness mode. It's perfectly bright in dark settings without being harsh, and it even holds up well with plenty of ambient light around. The video I captured doesn't do it justice because the 4K One is reasonable to use on a white wall in the middle of the day, as long as there is no light shining directly on it. Like I said before, the contrast ratio is great for a portable projector and mediocre for a home theater one. However, I think for most people, it will be perfectly fine. In bright scenes, colors pop well and blacks are deep enough to make details pop. Where the 4K One struggles is in dark scenes. On a white surface, most scenes look gray and it's hard to pick details out. That can be solved with a gray surface, but that will come at the expense of some of the brightness of other colors. It won't satisfy serious projection enthusiasts, but all in all, I think the image quality on the 4K One is great for first-time projector users. Speakers aren't great though. That's not surprising. Projectors rarely, if ever, have good speakers. The 2-watt front-facing speakers here are okay. At high enough volumes, you can hear just about everything, but it all sounds really thin. That's especially true for voices. Even at high volumes, the sound is overshadowed by just how loud the 4K One is. Which isn't surprising. 3 fans means a lot of noise. The speaker setup is fine for throwing something up to distract the kids, but anyone seriously consuming media on this will want to connect some speakers or a soundbar. So the sound is about what you would expect, but the picture really is standout. Movies are engrossing and vibrant, And having two HDMI ports makes it easy to switch between devices. Even playing games on the 4K one is impressive. If you're used to playing on a gaming monitor, playing will definitely feel slower. But it isn't as slow as projectors usually are, and it feels very similar to playing on a TV. I have no way to test the response time, but plenty of sources have rated the 4K one for 30 to 50 milliseconds response time. That's definitely playable. You may not want to play competitively on the 4K one, or any projector for that matter, but for single player games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's a real treat. I've never played a game on a projector before, and the huge display and excellent color on the 4K one really makes it stand out. Needless to say, I will miss it when I have to return it after this review.
I've always been alone, so I don't feel the lack. It's all I've ever known. I've never experienced loss because I've never had a loved one to lose. But what is grief, if not love persevering?
The 4K one is branded as a portable 4K projector, and it certainly is one. It has a bag and everything, and it's easy enough to take apart and set up again. And yet, my favorite times with the 4K one were when I simply left it alone. AAXA seems to think people will use it more as a permanent projector that is easy to travel with, rather than a portable projector you take everywhere. I mean, most portable projectors don't come with mounting holes. They put them there for a reason. Whether or not you should buy this projector kind of depends on what you're looking for. I'll assume that if you're in the market for a projector, you already understand the pros and cons they have compared to a TV, so I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, let's focus on what type of projector you are looking for. Are you looking for a portable projector? Something to take with you to conferences or a friend's house for a movie night? If you have to have that image in 4K, the 4K one is a great option. It might actually be the only option. But I think people who need portability are also lenient on resolution. For the same price, and even cheaper, you can find high quality projectors that may have a lower resolution and brightness, but offer built-in batteries, better speakers, and better user interfaces. If you're looking for something primarily as a portable projector, I do think there are better options for you. But if you think of the 4K one as a compact budget home theater projector, it becomes a lot more compelling. Yeah, the UI isn't great and the speakers are thin, but once you connect a console or a streaming stick and get the projector permanently set up, it's basically perfect. Looking at similarly priced home theater projectors, you often have to make very similar compromises. You'll have to spend at least a couple hundred more to get a truly 4K experience, and cheaper projectors aren't as bright and are lower resolution. When you look at it like that, the 4K one is a great entry-level projector for budding enthusiasts. It's on sale right now for $850 for Prime members, and that makes it very compelling. I would love to see a second iteration have more smart TV-like features, and a kickstand is much needed. But if you have the tools to bake it into a permanent setup, the 4K one is an excellent entry point for new users. At the end of the day, the 4K one revived one of my favorite pastimes for me, and it gave me a lot of new memories with my family as we caught up on new films and watched some old classics. If you're trying to recapture that movie night magic, the 4K one is for you.